Have you ever set out to achieve something? Maybe a relationship, a career goal, a healthier lifestyle, only to find yourself inexplicably undoing your own progress. You miss appointments. You procrastinate. You pick fights. You accidentally sabotage everything you say you want. Carl Jung believed that these self-sabotaging behaviors are not simply bad habits or weaknesses of willpower. They are messages from a deeper, hidden part of your psyche. They are signals from the unconscious mind, a realm far older and more powerful than our rational thoughts. According to Jung, the unconscious is not merely a dumping ground for forgotten memories or suppressed emotions. It is a vast, living system full of autonomous forces, aspects of our psyche that have their own intentions, their own energy, and yes, their own agendas. This is where self-sabotage begins. You see, Jung believed that within each of us is something he called the shadow, the repressed, denied, and unlived side of our personality. This shadow contains all the parts of ourselves we don't want to acknowledge. Our anger, our jealousy, our fears, our selfishness, our shame. But the shadow doesn't just disappear because we ignore it. In fact, the more we repress it, the stronger and more disruptive it becomes. As Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Self-sabotage is one of the shadow's favorite weapons. Why? Because it knows your weaknesses better than you do. It knows exactly where to poke holes in your plans, exactly which buttons to push to make you pull back just before you break through. It might look like fear of success. It might sound like that inner voice telling you you're not good enough. It might feel like constant anxiety or sudden self-doubt. But it's not that you're broken. It's that there's a part of you, deep in your unconscious, that isn't fully aligned with what you say you want. The truth is, many of our goals are driven by the ego, by the conscious mind's desire for recognition, validation, and control. But the unconscious has a different agenda. It wants wholeness. And sometimes, in its mysterious and paradoxical way, the unconscious sabotages your plans not to punish you, but to lead you back to your true path. A path that honors all parts of you, including those you've rejected. So the question isn't just, why do I keep sabotaging myself? The question is, what part of me is sabotaging, and why? To truly understand why we sabotage ourselves, we must dive deeper into Jung's concept of the divided psyche, particularly the conflict between the ego and the self. The ego is your conscious identity. It's who you think you are. It makes decisions, sets goals, defines your place in society. But the self, in Jung's terms, is something much vaster. It is the totality of the psyche, both conscious and unconscious. It's not just your personality, it's your entire being striving toward integration. And here's where things get interesting. The ego likes control. It sets a plan and expects reality and the unconscious to obey. But the unconscious doesn't work that way. It operates according to a different logic. Mythical, symbolic, often irrational. If the ego becomes too one-sided, too fixated on success, perfection, or pleasing others, the unconscious will rebel. And it does so by throwing obstacles in your path. This isn't cruelty, it's a correction. Jung called this Enantiodromia, the principle that any extreme, if pushed too far, will eventually turn into its opposite. In simple terms, when the ego becomes inflated or unbalanced, the unconscious compensates. You strive for control? The unconscious will deliver chaos. You obsess over being kind? The shadow may erupt in anger. You chase perfection. You may self-sabotage until you're forced to confront your flaws. This internal sabotage is the psyche's way of restoring equilibrium. The unconscious wants you to become whole, not perfect. Let's take an example. Imagine a man raised to believe that showing vulnerability is weakness. He builds a strong, stoic persona. He climbs the ladder, becomes successful. But deep down, he's anxious. He avoids intimacy. He unconsciously ruins his relationships. Why? Because his unconscious is trying to integrate the vulnerability he's denied. And until he does, until he meets his own humanity, he will continue to sabotage himself in love. This is not a failure. This is the unconscious screaming, "You are more than your mask." Self-sabotage, then, is not just a psychological glitch. It is a call from the self, a demand for inner unity. The problem isn't that your ego has goals. The problem is that it may be building a future on a foundation that doesn't include your full truth. When the unconscious fights back, it's not your enemy. It's your forgotten self, begging to be heard. Now we arrive at the question everyone wants answered. How do I stop sabotaging myself? Carl Jung never gave simple, quick-fix solutions, but he gave something far more powerful, a path of transformation. The key is integration, the process of becoming whole by making the unconscious conscious, and it begins with self-observation. Start noticing the patterns. When do you pull back from success? What kind of situations trigger your self-sabotage? Are there repeated emotional reactions, anger, fear, shame, that always seem to accompany your failures? These patterns are not random. They are symbols, clues to the part of you that remains unseen. Jung developed a powerful tool for this process called active imagination. It's a method of dialoguing with the unconscious, of entering into a symbolic, dreamlike space where you can meet the forces within you. If you find yourself sabotaging a relationship, you might ask, who inside me is afraid of intimacy? Close your eyes. Let an image come to mind. A figure, a voice, a memory. Speak to it. Ask it what it wants. This may sound strange, but the unconscious speaks in symbols, not logic. Through dreams, fantasies, and even bodily symptoms, it's always trying to communicate. Active imagination gives you a channel to listen and respond. The second major tool is shadow work. This means turning toward the aspects of yourself you've denied, repressed, or judged. It's not about indulging them. It's about understanding them. Your anger may hold the key to your boundaries. Your fear might protect a deeper wisdom. Your envy might point to unlived potential. By acknowledging and integrating the shadow, you rob it of its power to sabotage. You make it a part of your journey instead of an obstacle. Jung also emphasized the importance of symbols and rituals. These help bridge the conscious and unconscious worlds. Meditation, journaling, dream analysis, creative work, even spiritual practice. Anything that brings the inner world to light is an act of healing. Because ultimately, self-sabotage is not a behavior problem, it's a soul problem. It is the price we pay for ignoring the parts of ourselves that are asking to be loved. As Jung said, wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. When you stop trying to be only good, only successful, only rational, and allow yourself to be human, complex, and real, something miraculous happens. The sabotage stops, and the true self begins to emerge, not perfect, but whole.